What is up, everybody? We're back here at King Film Sports for another playoff picture type video heading into Week 17. In this one, I'll be examining both the NFC and the AFC playoff pictures, seeing what has changed in the last week, and then going over clinching scenarios in Week 17. So stay tuned for that. And then I'll be going over my Week 17 and Week 18 predictions to see what my final projections are for where the seeds end up in the NFL playoff machine. So stay tuned for that as well. So with that being said, let's get into the NFC playoff picture here. At the number 1 seed, the Packers retain it, winning on Christmas Day against the Browns by 2 points. It was a gutsy victory. They almost lost it in the end. So their clinching scenario in Week 17, they win against the Vikings, and the Cowboys lose against the Cardinals. They clinch the number 1 seed and the first round bye for the playoffs. Number 2, we got the Cowboys at 11-4, clinched the NFC East this past weekend with a big win against Washington there, and they cannot clinch anything more. They can't clinch the 1 seed until Week 18 potentially. To get the 1 seed, they need to win out, and the Packers need to lose one of their final 2 games to the Vikings or the Lions there. Then the 3 seed, the Rams, they're the lone team in the NFC who has not clinched their division, but they have now hopped into the NFC West lead. They've won 4 straight. The Cardinals have lost 3 straight. The Rams have the Ravens and the Niners coming up. They can clinch the NFC West division this week, actually, if they win in Baltimore and the Cardinals lose in Dallas there. Then the Bucs at 11-4, they've already clinched the NFC South. They kind of get screwed on all these tiebreakers, but they still can finish in the number 1 seed. They're going to have the Packers lose both of their remaining games. The Buccaneers are going to have to win against the Jets and against Carolina. And then they're going to have the Cowboys and Rams each lose at least 1 game there to finish at the number 1 seed. But they have clinched the NFC South this last weekend. Now we get into the wild card, where the Cardinals have fortunately clinched the playoffs, but they have just let the NFC West slip out of their grasp there. If they want to clinch the NFC West, they can't do it this week, but they will have to win out against the Cowboys and the Seahawks, and they will have to have the Rams lose one of their final 2 games to the Ravens or Niners. Then we get to the Niners at 8-7, lost against Tennessee, and we don't know about Jimmy G's availability. They can actually clinch this week. They have Houston at home. That's probably going to be a win, and then they need the Saints to lose against Carolina there. If those 2 things happen, they will clinch a playoff berth. So then we get to the number 7 seed, where we have the Eagles at 8-7, one of the hottest teams at this point in the NFL season. And they can also clinch a playoff spot in Week 17 with a win over Washington against the football team. Then they have to have the Vikings lose to the Packers on Sunday night. And then the Niners beat the Texans. If those 3 things happen, then the Eagles will clinch a playoff spot in Week 17. Now we get into the In the Hunt category. Unfortunately, this graphic was made before the Monday Night Football game in which the Saints got battered by the Miami Dolphins. For what it's worth, the Saints actually aren't in this top In the Hunt spot. They are actually below both the Vikings and Falcons by the way the tiebreaker comes out. So the Vikings at 7-8 lead the In the Hunt graphic. They have a tough schedule, though. They have to play in Lambeau on Sunday night, and then they have to play the Bears final week. Falcons, pretty tough for them as well. They have to play the Bills and then the Saints. Saints actually pretty easy schedule here. They will play the Carolina Panthers and then the Falcons. And then the football team, they will play against the Eagles this week at home, and then they will play against the Giants Week 18. So for all these In the Hunt teams, they'll have to win out and then get some help to make the playoffs, but it certainly is a possibility for some of these teams there. Now we go into the AFC playoff picture, where we have the number 1 seed Chiefs at 11-4, and this one is pretty simple here. They already clinched the AFC West, but they can actually clinch up the number 1 seed if they win in Week 17 against the Bengals and the Titans lose to the Dolphins. So if those 2 things happen, they can secure the first round bye with a week remaining in the NFL season. The number 2 seed, we got the Titans at 10-5. Big win against the Niners last week. Go up to the 2 seed. And for them, they can actually seal up the AFC South this week in Week 17 with a win against the Dolphins or a Colts loss to the Raiders. So if either of those two things happen, they can secure the division. Then we get to the 3 seed where we have the Bengals at 9-6. They looked great against the Ravens this last week, and they are in the driver's seat for the AFC North. All they have to do to win the division in Week 17 is just beat the Chiefs at home. If that happens, then they will win the AFC North there. Then we get to the 4 seed where the Bills hop up over the Patriots at 9-6. They have the tiebreaker because the two teams split head-to-head and the Bills have the better divisional record. So huge win for them in Foxborough against the Patriots. They cannot wrap up the division this week, but they are certainly in the driver's seat with the Falcons and the Jets to play for them. Now we get into the wildcard teams in the AFC, and at the 5 seed, we have the Red Hot Colts at 9-6. Big win on Christmas Day in Arizona. As I mentioned with the Titans, the Colts are still in it for the AFC South, although that looks very unlikely at this point in the season. They have to go perfect, and the Titans need to lose both for them to win that division. But they can secure a wildcard spot. They can clinch a playoff berth if they win this week against Las Vegas at home. So that's huge for them there. Then the Patriots, 2 tough losses in a row, but they do look good for the playoffs here at 9-6. Basically, all they have to do is win this week against the Jags, and they get themselves a playoff spot there. Also, we have the Dolphins here at the 7 seed, not the Ravens. As I already mentioned, the playoff picture graphic is not all the way up to date because of the Monday Night Football game. So Dolphins on the 7-game winning streak, get the 7th seed. They will have to win both games likely to retain the 7th seed, but they can do so. They have a tough game in Tennessee and then hosting the Patriots in Week 18. So if they can win both of those games, then they will secure themselves a playoff spot. Then we got the Chargers at 8-7, tough loss to the Houston Texans. They lose by double digits there, but if they win out, they do look good to make the playoffs. Raiders at 8-7 also control their own destiny. They've had 2 consecutive wins. They have to go into Indianapolis, and then they also have to win at home against LA in Week 18 there. And then the Steelers at 7-1 looked terrible against the Chiefs this last week. But they still can win the AFC North. They have to have a lot of things go their way, but they can still win that. Also, the Ravens at 8-7, they can still win the AFC North. A few things go their way, but both of those teams do not look good. I think the Bengals definitely win this division there. Then the Browns at 7-8 as well. They can still win the AFC North, but looking out of reach for them as well at this point. Broncos can still sneak into the playoffs, but they need to win out and get a lot of things to go their way to get in there. So now we get into my playoff predictions, how I think things will end out in the NFL season. So Week 17 here, we have the Chiefs winning in Cincinnati. Huge game there. I have the Chiefs winning that, so they stay on the number 1 seed. Then I have the Titans losing at home to Miami. I really like this Miami team. I think they're fighting hard at this point in the season. So the Titans still hang on to the 2 seed, but they do not clinch the AFC South there. Then the Bills, I have them winning against the Falcons, retaining the 3 seed. Bengals, although they lose, still hang on to the AFC North lead. At 5th, we got the Colts, 10-6, beating the Raiders. Patriots winning against the Jags, 10-6. Then Miami hangs on to the 7th seed, 9-7. Then in the NFC, we got the Packers at 13-3, winning on Sunday Night Football. Then we got the Cowboys winning at home against Arizona, retaining the 2 seed. Rams and Bucks hold their seeds as well with wins. Then the Cardinals, 4-game losing streak. As I mentioned, they lose to the Cowboys in Dallas. 49ers, they win against the Texans, and the Eagles win against Washington. So all of the seeds stay the same in the NFC. Now we get into Week 18, where we have a couple changes. So the Chiefs stay on the number 1 seed there at 13-4. In this scenario, they've actually already clinched the number 1 seed going into this week, but I think they beat Denver. Then the Titans, I have them winning the division, beating Houston. Then we got the Bills. I have them winning their division as they beat the Jets. Then the Bengals secure the AFC North by beating the Browns. Colts hang on to the 5. The Dolphins are eliminated by losing to the Patriots. Patriots get the 6th seed, and the Chargers now step up to the 7th seed with a win against the Raiders there. So that's how the AFC playoff picture ends up for me. And then the Packers at 14-3, they get the win, secure the number 1 seed in the NFC. The next 3 teams all win. Cowboys, Rams, Bucks all finish 13-4 and hold their seeds. At the 5 seed, we have the Cardinals at 11-6. They finally get a win against the Seahawks. The Niners, I have losing in LA against the Rams, but they do end up holding their seed at the 6 because the Falcons beat the Saints in Atlanta. And then we have Philadelphia also losing to the Cowboys. Something very interesting about this scenario is that the Niners lose to the Rams in LA. Then in the wildcard round, they would have to play in LA again. That would be very interesting. Also, the Cowboys beat the Eagles in Lincoln Financial Field. The 2 teams then rematch to the very next week, given not in the same venue. They will play in Dallas. But very interesting that 2 rematches will take place from Week 18 to the wildcard weekend. So let me know what you guys disagreed upon in my predictions, what you guys think about the current NFL playoff picture, and I will see you all in the next one.